There we go, 360 Live. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining me on this beautiful Saturday. I always have to check the date, 23rd of November. It was a birthday week. It's been a birthday week for me, not for me. My mum had a birthday on the 21st. They flew over from a coastal town close to George to come and visit us for the weekend. Absolutely phenomenal having them over here because I've not been seeing them a lot over the last 18 to 24 months. So it's great to have my folks here. And they're not getting any younger. And it was just sort of a wake-up call for me that, you got to make time for your family, the people that are most dearest to you. And it's certainly my parents. Absolutely meant the world to me. Looking back now, as a youngster, you never realize how much your folks play a role in your life. And if it's not your parents, it's maybe a mentor or grandparents or a brother. And sometimes when you get older, you sort of drift away from each other because life changes. You get your own family. You maybe work abroad. But it's crucially important, vitally important to still make time for the people that are closest to you. And I've had a phenomenal weekend with them. And then today is 40th birthday. Well, his birthday was yesterday's 40th party. One of my closest friends. We've come since preschool together, since we were about 3 or 4 years old, kindergarten together, primary school together, and we're still really good mates, Chris. So congrats to him and to everyone out there whose birthday it was this week or this weekend. I hope you guys are having a fantastic time. Guys, Australia, India, the main topic for today. I know there's lots of questions. I am absolutely taken aback by what's happening over there in Perth. I didn't see it coming. I called for Australia dominating the series. India not playing badly. I still tipped them to win one of the test matches, but losing the series ultimately. And the way that first inning started, I thought, oh my word, here we go. India are traveling to Australia. They're in there in the hostile environment of the Australian fans, giving them stick, and 150 never seemed enough in that first innings. And when I woke up this morning, I almost fell backwards on my back. Seeing 104 all out. I was completely shocked by that. Very surprised. Very unlike Australia, right? When you travel over there, and even if they're playing in your country, the minute they get on top, they generally step on your throat and they never allow you back in the game. That's typical Australian. And this time around, maybe for the last 5 to 10 years, this has been typical India, really finding a way to creep back into games and to dominate cricket matches, especially in the test format. Yes, they've had a big slip up in India against New Zealand not long ago, and not a lot of people gave them a chance over here in Australia. So absolutely incredible. That first innings, a bit shaky, but it was expected. Fresh wicket over there in Perth. Definitely not easy, that's for sure, for the batters to adapt to the conditions. So 150 didn't seem enough, but then in stepped, and it feels like I've said this on numerous occasions in the last 6 months, in stepped Bumrah. Wow. He is, I don't care about rankings. He must be the best seam bowler out there in the world right now, by a long way as well. Certainly a guy you want in your team, someone the captain can always throw the ball to, and he seems hungry to want to make a play for his team and his country. Bumrah bowling India right back into the game, obviously alongside a couple of seamers. That's been a surprise pick. We'll talk about them in a minute. But there we go. India with Rahul and Jaiswal, 172 without loss. And what happened there, guys, I watched them get to 172 this morning when I woke up, because it's afternoon in Australia then. So I watched basically from lunch to the end of play. And every single thing seemed to go right for India, and everything went wrong for Australia in that field. Lots of edges through the slip cordons, balls popping in the middle, miss run-out opportunities. And that's what happens in test match cricket, and that's why I love the format so much. If you find a way to grind yourself back in the game, the momentum changes and everything seems to go your way. And that's what India did. They earned the right for things to go their way with a bat in hand in this innings. And 172 without loss. Not surprised about that. 218 lead. That is monumental in a test match, especially considering Australia's got to go bat last there. The only hope for Australia, in my opinion, would be that, and it sometimes does happen in Australia, where the wickets flatten out and they never get worse, even throughout the whole 5 days. But it's very, very unlikely. There must be some cracks that will open up on day 3, 4. I don't think we will see day 5. Depends on how long India bats here and if they can find someone to get a big 100, maybe even a double 100. You never know. KL Rahul must be very hungry to score runs. As you remember, he's been through a bit of a slump in the last 12 months or so, in and out of the team, not very consistent. But we did call for him to play in this test match. Remember, we named 3 players, and the 2 that we picked, KL being one, we were absolutely spot on with that. And it's great to see him up the order. I always thought that he's a kind of guy that's got the right technique away from home. And it makes it very interesting because he has been doing well away from home. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And there we go. Mohammed, thanks for that. I missed the previous one. We'll get back to that. What are your thoughts on KL Rahul batting today? Simply outstanding. And I mean, the first time I watched him play many years ago, he also joined RCB. I always looked at him as a guy with a very sound technique who can really adapt on any conditions, in anywhere in the world, whether it's spinning or turning, bouncing, swinging. He's the kind of guy you want in your team, especially traveling, right? And I just hope that he can be so consistent to such an extent that he gets more game time and becomes a guy that we'll frequently see in the test lineup, no matter where they play. So there's the partnership, guys. 172 of 346 deliveries. They took their time. They were not in a rush. They knew that the damage is already done. All they need now to do is to bat time. The wicket is good. It doesn't seem to be moving around as much as in that first innings. And now it's just a matter of applying yourself and really grinding the Australian bowlers down, forcing the seam bowlers to come back for spells 2, 3, 4. And that's where the game really gets interesting. It's nice to bat against a tired seamer. And it seemed like Australia lost a little bit of the energy towards the back end of the play today, where I saw Cummins running in. And I've played against Cummins so often, but he seemed tired towards the back end. And that's exactly what the Indian batters would want. Yes, they're going to get a good night's rest now. So the Australian seamers will come back with a big bang tomorrow morning. Huge session tomorrow. That I think that first session will be pivotal to what's going to happen with the result in this test match. Australia's only hope, I feel, is in that first hour tomorrow morning, where they have to get 2 or 3 quick ones and then really apply the pressure on that middle order of the Indian batters and hope to pummel them out for something like a 250 to 300 lead, maybe 330, 50 max, and then still to sort of back themselves, the likes of Steve Smith, to go and get a big 100 or double 100 to chase that down. But all very unlikely. India completely in the pound seat and dominating this test match. So all 3 of India's century stands has added a consistency in the last 10 years, over in senior countries at least. And that is KL Rahul's been part of that. So absolutely incredible there. And we already spoke about him and his sound technique, and obviously being very hungry and having that desire, because he's been in and out of the team. I don't think he felt confident that he was going to play in this first test match, and he got his opportunity and he's taken it with both hands, and he will want to build on that tomorrow. If there's one way to knock a door down and to tell the selectors, I'm here to stay and you're not dropping me again, and that is to get 150 plus. Not a nice, sexy 80 or 75. We always spoke in the Proteas change room about a sexy knock. You don't want to be the guy who looks good in the bar, but at the end of the day, the guy who plays the game better than you walks away with a goal, right? You want to be the consistent guy who hits the home run when it matters most. And this is the opportunity KL Rahul now has. Is it going to be a sexy 60 or 70? Or is it going to be what the big boys do, 150 plus when it matters most, telling the selectors, I'm here to stay and I want to be in the team. All right, let's talk about Jaiswal, guys. Yashasvi Jaiswal. I've spoken about this guy so much during the IPL, tipping him as one of the Indian greats in the future. He's already a consistent guy when it comes to performing in all conditions, and he's very young still. You don't often get that. So that's the kind of guy who needs to be nurtured, managed well. And I love having a right-left-hand combination. If you remember correctly, with the T20 Dream Team I spoke about, or the Dream setup with the team, I spoke about a right and left-hand combination as an opening partnership. And I know it's T20 cricket, but I love that in Test match cricket as well. It's just unsettling for the bowlers, for the captain, and for everyone in the field. You've got to change fielding positions during balls in an over, and not just after an over. So it can be draining, and it can be really unsettling for an opposition team. Mr. 360 views on Jaiswal, and when will India declare? can't be talking about a declaration as of yet. I think they have the license to bat as long as they want, honestly. It's test match cricket. The damage has been done. The game has moved forward at a lightning pace. And it's now a matter for the Indian batters to really just grind Australia down. That's the only role you have. Forget about runs. Forget about being entertaining out there. You bat time, you win the test match. End of the story. Yes, there are things to think about. Possibly the second new ball coming. So maybe up the ante between over 60 to 80. But I mean, they still got a lot of time, these guys. And if you do get a sniff between over 60, 65 to 80, to just up it a little bit, and I'm not saying go from gears 3 to 6, just one up, from gears 2 to 3 or 3 to 4, that's it. Don't have to take risks. Just start manipulating the fielders a bit more, and in that way score 4 or 5 runs and over for that last period, and really set it up for that new ball where Australia will be forced to bring those seamers back again. And that will be a telling sign for India being completely in control, giving a lot of license for guys like Bumrah and the rest of the bowling lineup to go out and express themselves in that final innings. And I've spoken about this before. You want the license to carry your catches for longer periods of time. So if India can really get a huge lead here, they don't have to take that third slip out because they are being a bit expensive. They can keep him in, because it will all be about wickets in that second innings. And you don't have to worry too much about the runs. That's what you want. Jaiswal, by the way, guys, has now hit 34 sixes in this year in Test match cricket. And that is the most ever for a Test batter in one calendar year, beating Brendan McCullum's 33 sixes in 2014. Absolutely incredible. What are these youngsters doing to us? I mean, they're entertaining us so much and taking the game forward and showing there are different ways of approaching the game. I must add, his 34 sixes, I think I've seen about 30 of them. I've watched most of his innings because I love watching him play. And all of them were calculated, in my opinion. None of them were slogging. Then he never ever go out there, clear his front leg and play T20 shots. It is all clear, calculated decision-making, coming down the wicket to a spinner, sort of really reading the situation, understanding the wicket, and then taking his calculated risk. So I think that's really important when we speak about this. Yes, he's broken a record, but he did it in style, and that's what I like, and that's what I try and teach youngsters as well. It's not about entertaining crowds and people. It's about understanding your game plan and taking calculated risks, and risks that suit you. All right, so that's what he's done, and he's done it exceptionally well. And I mean, where's this guy going to be in 5 years from now, guys? He's got so much talent. He's still young. 5 years from now, he's going to be an experienced left-hand opening bat. And I think he's going to toy with the bowlers. I honestly do. He's quite an exceptional talent. All right, Virat Kohli. Let's talk about him briefly. Not the ideal first innings score for him. Samir, thank you very much for your question. I mean, there's a big second innings to play for him. He might come in close to that second new ball. And to him, it'll be just a mental battle. To understand that you've got to still do the hard yards. They might be in a really good position when he comes into bat. So there will not be a lot of pressure on him. Touch wood for all Indian fans. Obviously, if you don't lose 2 or 3 quick ones tomorrow morning, there will be a fantastic base for Virat just to take his time and understand. I think the message to him would be just bat time. Get yourself in. Let it go outside off. Just wait for that straight stuff. Either on drive or 2, and then you can start building your innings from there. That's what I always did. No matter what situation I played in, I always felt just look for the straight stuff. The bowler's got to come straight eventually. You can't just bowl outside off. So very important for Virat not to go and feel for it early on. Be decisive with when you're leaving and when you're playing at it, and just wait for them to come to you. They will come to you. So yes, I do believe Virat will come right, and I hope he takes his time and he stays patient in the second innings, because I feel he's close to a really big one soon. Obviously not the ideal start, but guys, never count this guy out. We know what he's capable of, and we know he loves to bat in Australian conditions. So I'm expecting a big one from him. And guys like him, his name popping up it just adds to that mountain to climb for Australia. They know if they don't have a flyer of a start tomorrow morning in that first hour, they are done and dusted, because there are big names coming out, guys who have been low on runs, who are very hungry to score. And Virat is certainly one. And then, I mean, the list goes on. There's a big batting lineup coming up. Let's talk about the pitch conditions quickly. I was quite surprised with the amount of movement I saw on day one. A lot happened in that first session. And India did actually pretty well to get to 150. And that was proven right by the way Australia was knocked over in their first innings, right? Sanjay Sir, did the pitch really eased out, or the batters played really well to negotiate the pace threat? So I think the wicket's considerably better now, and I think that'll last for a day or a day and a half, where there might be some cracks that you'll notice. If you don't see the cracks, at least a little bit of turn. If that doesn't happen, it's going to be a flat pitch for the rest of the test match, and it has happened before. I've spoken about it. Pitches like in Brisbane, for instance, at the Gabba. I played a test match there where it was tough for the first hour of the first day and flat for the entire rest of the test match. Needless to say, it ended up in a draw. It was just really too easy to bat on. So I hope for India's sake, it's not the case with this wicket. When I watched this afternoon, there was still a little bit of movement, but on the slower side. So it seems like the wicket has lost a bit of pace, but also lost a bit of swing and movement off the deck. So it's considerably easier. And unlucky for Australia, they never got to this period of the game now where they weren't prepared to do the hard yards and earn the right to play on the wicket now where it's a bit slower and not moving as much. And India taking full advantage. Guys, that is the beauty of Test cricket. I'm not taking anything away from KL and Jaiswal. They've played exceptionally well away from home against all the odds. But there's no doubt that the wickets change in Test match cricket. There's a lot of movement. Then it gets a bit less. Then it gets a bit trickier to bat when a few cracks opens up. And then with the footholds, all of a sudden the ball starts turning. So that is the ebb and flow and the beauty of Test cricket. You are never quite sure what's coming next. And you really need to respect the game and the format. And that is why it's called Test cricket. It's the ultimate test, right? It's the biggest challenge for both batters and bowlers because you constantly need to adapt to what's coming next. So it's going to be absolutely fantastic to watch the rest of the test match unfold. Remember some of the stuff I touched on now. We look for the change in conditions. And once the bowling team's tail gets up, how all of a sudden wickets 2 and 3 fall. Because it's never easy to come out to bat. There's a reason why a wicket goes down. It's maybe with the conditions starting to change a touch. The bowler's really working hard on the ball, trying to get swing. All of a sudden you nick one off. That new batter now walks into the big threat because now the ball just started swinging again, or there's a couple of cracks that developed, or the footholds are in play, and he's got to face this challenge being on naught of no deliveries. And that's why the coaches always harp on so much with the partnerships. When you have a partnership going, extend it as much as you can, because it's never easy for the new batter to come in, and that will be the name of the game for India tomorrow. Haji, AB, can Australia come back in this test match? Always. Never count an Australian team out. Going over to Australia, I clearly remember us playing in Perth. We were basically down and out, done and dusted. We were batting last at the Wacker, and we chased down 430 odd, I think. I can't remember the exact total, but we chased down over 400 when everyone counted us out. So that is the message to Australia then. I think for them, what they can hold on to is there is a chance that the wicket will stay good until the end. Because the game has sped up so much, if they can just find a way to sort of get into the game with this innings and this big partnership, just get one and build on that, get 2 and 3 with the new batters in, stay in the game. Even if it's 350, if the wicket stays good, you can chase that down. It has been proven before in Australian conditions by the Proteas and by some other teams as well. So they're never out, never count an Australian team out. But I must say they looked pretty low in energy today. They looked like they were completely, the wind was knocked out of their sails in a way. And it comes back to the ODI series against Pakistan, right? I think they were a little bit naughty there, not playing a full-strength team, trying to say that they're resting the test match players. And Michael Clarke really having a full go in that week, saying, this is the perfect preparation. Even if it's a white ball, you want your bowlers to bowl those 10 overs. It's what better preparation can you have? Now you want them to go and bowl 10 or 20 overs in the nets. They're going to bowl a similar amount of balls in any way, preparing for this test match, but it's not in the middle. So it would have been really good preparation for these bowlers and the batters to get some middle time, even if it's with a white ball. I mean, it's still a cricket ball. If it's white or red, you still the side screen of a red ball is white, and with a white ball it's black. So you're still going to see the ball. It's still cricket. Play against Pakistan and get some match time. And I fully agree with Michael Clarke. And not having a go at the selectors or wherever the guys were that made the call. Because, I mean, if it came off, everyone would have said what a great decision resting the Australian batters and the bowlers. So it's easy to talk in hindsight. But I do feel there's no replacement for middle practice, guys. If you're out there in the middle playing competitive cricket, I think it would have been the best preparation for the Australian players. And unfortunately, they do look a little bit low in energy, maybe low in confidence as well. So that's your answer there, Haji. Let's talk about Pujara and something he said in commentary today, and I think it's relevant and pretty nice. Prati picked up on it, so thanks for your question. Sir Pujara credited you, me today. Thank you. Wow. Puj, I missed this, by the way. He said you taught him how to play late in the tour he played in South Africa in 2011. Yeah. I mean, in 2008, that's where I clicked for the first time in my career. That's what it feels like to really wait for a ball, because I've always heard it throughout primary school, high school, everyone's saying, play it late, wait for the ball. And it never sunk in. It never hit home with me. And I wanted it so much. I looked at Jacques Kallis and I thought, if I could only one day have a defensive game like that. I mean, I know I can play attacking strokes. If I can just tell the bowlers, you know what, you're not going to get me out with just a top of off delivery, because my defense is in place. But if you make a mistake, I'm going to be on top of you. And that's what you want the bowlers to feel like, you know. It must feel like they're bowling to a door that's closed and there's no way through. It's locked. But if they make a mistake, they go for runs. And that's what I want for Virat as well tomorrow. Make them feel like they're bowling to a door, and when they make a mistake, completely pounce on it. But yeah, thanks, Pooch, for that. I'm glad that you picked up on it in 2011. I think there were quite a number of games where I really started playing the ball late in all formats. And that's why I always say, it doesn't matter what format I used to play. A lot of people ask me, how do I jump between formats? Because it can be quite complicated. I think you guys have asked me that as well, and we've covered that extensively over here. But the minute I clicked with my defensive game, I could jump between formats, and my basics always stayed the same. And I think you see some players do that exceptionally well. I saw Jaiswal, for instance, defending today, and KL Rahul as well. Some of the deliveries I watched, they played it under their eyes with an angled bat, 45 degrees, really showing the bowler there's no way and I mean, the other thing that is, they might still beat the bat, but generally, when you find the edge, it goes down, it drops in front of the slips. You see Kane Williamson doing that pretty well as well. And if it moves enough, because you're not following it, you're just playing it under your eyes, it's generally a play and miss. And that's okay, because you tell the bowler, go back again, it's game on again. I'm still here. And the minute you start pushing at the ball, that's where the edges fly to the slips, to the keeper. You're also susceptible to the short cover and the short mid wicket, because the balls will be floaty. And that's what you don't want. So the minute I clicked on that in my career, my entire game changed. So, yeah, Pooch. I know Pooch had a fantastic record over there in Australia as well with his last tour there. Played an integral part of India winning that Test series. I've got a lot of respect for this guy, down-to-earth, humble man. And, yeah, wherever he is, well, obviously he's in Australia, but wherever, whatever challenge he takes on next in his life, I want to wish him all the very best. What a top man. Alrighty, super chat question from someone in South Africa. Lovely. Dhruv, how do I be the reliable player in my team? Thank you very much, first of all, for being a super fan. You want to be the reliable player in your team, learn to play the ball late. Learn to do the basics better than the rest. All right. And it comes with a big hunger, big desire, the way you saw KL Rahul play today, really wanting to be out there for his team. So once you have that desire, you'll naturally want to go and work harder on your game. You'll want to improve as you move forward. So it's 80% or 90% even a mental game. How much do you want it? And I felt when I played my best knocks back in the day, I was so hungry for it. You know, I wanted it so bad. I didn't try too hard in the middle. That's not what I'm saying. But mentally, I was so aware of what was happening around me, my surroundings, and my attention to detail was switched on because I wanted it. I would always get butterflies in the bus on the way to the ground, and that's when I knew it was a good sign, because I knew that my desire was in the right place. And sometimes it's okay when it's a bit down as well. Then you can sort of rely on experience, go back to the basics and what you've learned over the years, and find a way to be consistent in that way. Because I would say 2 or 3 out of 10 games, I did feel a bit low in energy, and I felt like, I've got to do it again. How do I pick myself up and we go again? I just scored 100 and felt like I can't do better than that. How do I replicate that again? So there's definitely been times where I fell down and out and felt like I was really low in energy. But I think you rely on experience there. But the 7 or 8 out of 10 times, make sure that hunger and the desire are the things that drive you. And then when you get your opportunity, you get to a 30 or 40, don't be the sexy bar on the bar, a guy in the bar. Be the guy who walks away with the goal. The guy that's smart, all right? It's not always the sexy guy that gets the goals, and they only keep them for a weekend anyway. So be the smart guy, all right, who thinks long-term. I don't know where I got up with that, but anyway, I hope you guys understand me. Rajesh, how do you watch the ball, from the bowler's hand or from an imaginary box? So I can honestly, I'm always very transparent with you guys. I never lie. I never hide anything. I still to today don't know what I watched. I'm sorry about that. I mean, I've asked Virat this question. I've spoken to numerous players from around the world, some of the best players I've ever met, and everyone's had a different answer to me. So there are bowlers that it's very difficult to see the hand, and it's very difficult to pick up where the ball is. I think of like a Harbhajan Singh who used to do this, a Rashid Khan that's got a very quick action, Sean Tate with an arm behind his back, Shoaib Akhtar, and all of a sudden this thing flies at you, and the arm moves from very low all the way up to get delivered. So how do you follow the ball all the time, you know? Difficult, but there were definitely times where I saw the ball out of the hand, and there were times where I just sort of looked at something above the bowler's head to the left of my angle, and I would see the ball come out from there. Obviously, incredibly important to see the ball. So that would be my main priority, to keep my head still, to make sure whenever I see it, if it's out of the hand or from that box that you speak about, because a lot of players gave me that answer. I picked the box there, and I always look at the box. I couldn't pick something. I'm sorry. For me, it was always just to be clear and to take deep breaths, keep my head still, and I always felt like my talent would take over. But very difficult question that, and I don't think there is an absolute perfect answer for it. But I would say go back to what can you control. And what I could control was to move nice and early, to have a very strong base with my feet, to keep my head still and my eyes parallel with the ground, and then to just be quiet, be still, a few deep breaths, and it's just you and the ball. Not even you and the bowler, it's just you and the ball. And always wait for that magical moment when that ball is in the air and it's coming your way. And be quiet. Have a song in your head. Shane Watson talks about that. And that's when I played really well, when I was quiet and relaxed and ready for that ball to come, and it's game on. And I was always so excited when that ball was released, like the opportunities and the possibilities of this little event, and what can happen. So fantastic. Let's move a little bit on from that to the IPL, guys. I've heard Jofra Archer is back in the auction. We'll cover that in a minute. Which player will get the highest bid in the auction? I think that is a very difficult question. Jos Buttler is first up, and I think he'll go for a very fancy number. But I do feel there's a bowler, a very magical bowler that might walk away with this. And I'm not sure who that guy is going to be. I can ask my team maybe to pull up those first 5 sets, and we can sort of play with that. Punt, obviously, and Buttler, big names, but they're both batters. I do feel they will go for a good number. Difficult. And I mean, talk about big numbers, guys. I spoke to Heinrich Klaassen not long ago, and we spoke a little bit about the pressures that I had with being paid a lot of money. And it's become a bit of a problem, and it's almost overplayed in my opinion. And I don't like that about the IPL. It was never a hassle to me until people really started forcing it in my direction. Do you think you're enough for the money that you're getting paid? And then I started going at night in bed like, oh my gosh, I don't know. And there was one particular moment, and I have spoken to Scott Styris about this, and he can't remember a thing about it. But it's incredible how sensitive cricket players are with comments that are made. And Scott Styris once, in a post-match analysis, and now that I'm doing the stuff at GeoCinema, I know how tired you are late at night. So maybe Scotty can't remember it, but to me it was huge, where Scott Styris said, I think AB de Villiers is overpaid and RCB needs to get rid of him, and they can get 2 or 3 class players instead of him. And that to this day have stuck with me. And then I felt to myself, but maybe I'm not doing enough. And maybe, this plays such a bad cycle in your mind, because now you start thinking, I played well in the last game. I got 80 or 45 balls, but maybe I need to get 80 or 30. And you start searching for stuff. You start leaving your game plan. You start sleeping worse at night. So I really don't like the money talk. And I know Rishabh has posted some stuff on X of late talking about what will I go for in the auction. Butler, Arshdeep, Yuzi, all these names are in there. But my advice to them would be to forget about the auction. You're going to get picked up, all right? And no matter what the number is, just remember what you're there for. And remember that 4-year-old boy who picked up the bat for the first time. And if you can sort of just remind yourself of that consistently and constantly, I think you'll keep something that's very, very special, and that is to keep enjoying the game, the enjoyment and the love for the game. If you lose that, people, you'll find yourself in a hotel room very lonely, and cricket will not be enjoyed. It'll be very tough. There are also other names: Stark, Rabada, Shami, Siraj, good bowler picks. I do feel there will be some surprises. I feel a bowler will go for the most. It's between Yuzi to me, Shami, Siraj, Rabada, Stark. All very good picks there. Arshdeep, also another one. I feel the bowler and bowlers are so important, and especially for RCB. I think RCB is going to go for a big number with one of these bowlers, and hopefully they don't go too much. Hopefully they look at the bigger picture and get those 4 that I was talking about for a little bit lower. There's a nice list here of players, but we'll see. Maybe it gets out of hand with Rishabh Pant. I know there's been a lot of hype around him, and maybe it does get out of hand. But I do feel with the bowlers, there are too many class bowlers there to ignore them. And personally, for me, I would focus on that. I didn't answer your question. I'm sorry about that. But let's say with that last performance at the Wanderers, let's say Arshdeep Singh. I'm just taking a complete guess, and we'll see if that plays out. Alrighty, thanks for that visible technology. Thanks for being a super fan. Guys, I'm almost done and dusted. I've got to rush off to that 40th birthday party. So last couple year, Jerry or Harry, I'm not sure. In South Africa, that'll be Harry. But let's go with Jerry. AB, please help your SA people out. Where can we stream the IPL auction? That's a good question. And maybe my team can help me. I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure it will be covered on SuperSport, if you do have SuperSport. But you're talking about streaming. I don't know, to be honest. I think I might be part of the auction, having to do some live stuff on analyzing some of the players, but that will be with a streaming service over there in India. I'm not too sure. But I'll come back with that, guys, with a show in the week if my team can help me out and find out where we're going to stream the auction live here in South Africa. It's going to be a fantastic auction. And on top of that, Jerry, I think the platform X, or formerly known as Twitter, generally they are up to standards with regards to live reporting when it comes to the auction. That's how I usually do it. I'm on X, and I just completely, I hit that bell notification. And on that note, hit the bell notification for this show, and also subscribe to the channel, guys. But Jerry, follow the auction on X. I think that's the best platform. And as Elon Musk says, you are the news now, talking about X and the people. And I love that about him. Really giving power to the people and say, you can report better than some of the news channels out there. And I'm not going to use some of the language he's done before, but he doesn't have a lot of time for some of the news platforms around the world. And it's incredible what this guy's achieved over the last few years with SpaceX and Tesla and all sorts, Starlink, which is not available in South Africa. So I'm going to play politics now. Mr. Ramaphosa, please, we need Starlink. I just got back from the bush up in the north, and I had no cell phone signal there. We need Starlink here, please. Everyone reminding of SA victory in Perth, where you guys chased down 400 plus. Yeah, I spoke about that earlier. One of the best memories for me on a cricket pitch. I honestly thought, because of the Australian domination back then, I didn't think it was possible to beat them over there in the home conditions. And under Graham Smith and some very special players, I think back of Callis and Amla, Ntini, Dale Steyn, so many more, we finally achieved that feat, chasing down an incredible number as well, and then getting confidence, going to MCG after that, and JP Duminy scoring that big 100 with some big partnerships at the back end of a very important innings with Dale Steyn and Paul Harris and We managed to find a way to win that Test series 2-0, and we lost the last one in Sydney, but the series was done and dusted, and the shackles were broken for all traveling teams to Australia to go out there and to believe that you can do it. All right, one last question after this, guys, and this is on football with Amarim and Man United's new coach. They're playing tomorrow against Ipswich, and I have put down my picks. I made a transfer on my fantasy league football team because when I put it on last night, I had 6 injuries, and I was like, oh my goodness, here we go. Anyway, I love playing fantasy league. I played with my boys and some of their friends at school and some of the parents. I'm not leading. I'm in the middle of the log. I've had a shocker. But luckily for last week, I forgot to make my picks, and last week there was no football. So I got away with that one. At least I got to make a transfer and got some of my subs on there. I played my triple captain way back when Haaland was my captain then, and that was the one game that he didn't score a goal, and he was my triple captain, my captain for that week when I played my triple captain. So I walked away with 6 points, and the week after, I think he scored 3. So I've just had a shocker, absolute shocker, but I'll keep fighting and see if I can find a way. Anyway, let's get to the question. Ashwini, Avinash, AB, do you follow football? I do. I think you could just pick up on that. If you do follow, then which team do you support? Man United, with our new manager there. And I saw some signs of life under Ruud van Nistelrooy. And I remember watching him play when I was a youngster, and I loved watching the Netherlands legend score goals for Man United. He was one of the GOATs, I think, at that time. Just scored so many goals for United, and those were the heydays for the United team. And now we're going through a bit of a struggle, but I do feel there's life, and I like the fact that they're getting some former players involved, as Ruud van Nistelrooy will stay on in the management team with a new manager. I don't know him that well, but I do hope he is the change that we need over there with Man United. So keep an eye out. And sorry, I speak under correction. Ruud van Nistelrooy is leaving. So the news must have changed, because last week he was around and he said he's keen to stay. And apparently Amarim wants him out. Not great. So now I don't like Amarim anymore. It's all over the place with Man United. Come on, guys. Get some past players involved, man. They know the culture and better than anyone. Anyway, that's it for this week, guys. All the very best with the rest of your weekends. I'm off to a birthday party, and I've already mentioned, if it's your birthday, happy birthday. And thank you very much for engaging with me as well. Harry is here. As I said before, subscribe to the channel. I'm having a lot of fun on here, and I cannot wait for the 360 show coming out this week. And enjoy the cricket between Australia and India. I'm going to be glued in front of my television screen to see if this opening partnership of India with Jaiswal and Rahul can go bigger over a 200 perhaps, and really bat Australia out of the game. But if you're really a cricket fan, you want Australia sort of to creep back a little bit, just a little bit. I wouldn't mind India winning, by the way, but just Australia to creep back. So there's a bit of entertainment today and tomorrow with that, with another day of cricket coming up. So guys, follow me in socials. You saw the drop downs there just now with Facebook and X and Instagram. I will always keep you guys up to date. Also, become part of the broadcast channel on Instagram as I share some behind the scenes stuff. I try to, at least. I will share a picture or two now of our day with my folks over there in the bushveld, in the beautiful nature of the northern part of South Africa. There's my Instagram handle, abdevilliers17. I just don't want to stop talking today. I'm going to say goodbye now. Have a wonderful weekend. Lots of love to you all, and thanks for signing in. Take care now.